Why are there not many serial killers in Nigeria? I'll give you the answer. The reason is because we have something much worse. We have something much deadly, much dangerous, and much more evil than the everyday serial killers you read about or learn about on the blogs. For example, what does this man, David Gracious West, and this man, Adebayo Olamide Azeez, have in common? They both killed over 7 women within a given period of time, with respective consistent pattern of execution. But somehow, you will not find Olamide Azeez being written on the list of serial killers in Nigeria. What about this man and Aminu Baba? Or this and this Ayomide Adele, or even him and Andrew Amechi? By right, all these other people should be on the list of serial killers, but somehow, someway, David Gracious West happens to be the poster boy for serial killers in Nigeria. And the reason is because he ticks the boxes of what the Western world know to be what makes up a serial killer. He had a specific target demographics, runs girls, or girls who were in need of urgent 10K. He had his method. He would promise to give them money, promise to change their life, lie about what he does for a living. And he had his pattern. He would sleep with them in the middle of the night. He would wake up with a knife to their throats, tear up the bedsheet or pillowcase from the hotel he would lodge, which usually mostly never had CCTV cameras. And then he would use the pieces of clothes, tie up his victims, take whatever money they have or whatever belongings they had that he can use to get his next victims, most likely their money if they had any, their ATM if they had any. And even after promising to not kill them, he still ends up killing them, strangling them to death. Those were his method. Simple and consistent. Nothing more, nothing less. And for the most part, this is what the world would know serial killers to be like. Anything other than this becomes something else. And that is where most serial killers in Nigeria fall under. The something else. The major reason why most serial killers in Nigeria are not being called serial killers is because they take it a step further. They even take it 10 steps further, turning it into something much more gruesome. To the point that if other people from other parts of the world will learn about some of the serial killers we mentioned in this video, they will not even see it to be serial killers. Because, come on, we just know how to take it too far. For example, Olamide Azeez was arrested in 2024 in Ogun State after he was named to be the last person to see a 35-year-old woman by the name of Suleiman Adijat. It turned out that Azeez and Adijat had been chatting through a dating website online, and this girl thought she was genuinely going to meet a man she had a love interest in. And when they meet, they went on a date, and when it's time to go home, he took her somewhere else to have her killed and had her body parts dismembered, sold to herbalists who turned it to soap, to then be sold to Yahoo boys. And when he was caught and arrested, he confessed to have killed 7 other women in that same manner and pattern for the same purpose. All things being equal and by rights, Olamide Azeez should be named as a serial killer. But for the fact that he went the extra mile to dismember his victim and use their body parts for ritual purposes, he now falls under the category of a ritual killer, of a ritualist. So if you're Googling serial killers in Nigeria, his name will not pop up because, yeah, he took it 10 steps further than the evil most serial killers are known to do. The same goes for Aminu Baba and Clifford Orji. These are 2 people who some blogs would name serial killers. Even I, when I talked about the stories of these 2 people, I call them serial killers because they should be serial killers. However, their nature of killing their victim is a bit so extreme that it's almost difficult to just call them serial killers. And that is why today they are known to be Nigerian documented cannibals. Aminu Baba is the more recent one, and his own is even worse because most of the killings he didn't even do them himself. He would pay young teenagers to go and kill victims. His main concern was to get the esophagus and the intestine to eat. That makes him a cannibal. But then it doesn't end there. He also sold the body parts of his victims to people who wanted to purchase them. And what does this make him? A body part dealer. You see how it's easy for him to dodge the list of serial killers because he took it 10 steps further than just what a regular serial killer would have just done. Another typical example of a serial killer that still can't be called a serial killer because of the nature of their killing is the Bado serial killer. Around 2016 and 2018 in Ikorodu, there was a serial killer named Bado. You see, residents were waking up to victims who had been smashed in the head in their house in the middle of the night. And when they go to the house to see the victims, mostly women, children, or people who lived in these rural areas where their doors are easily broken or their windows are not properly locked, the killers, after every killing, would write on the wall, Bado. Bado was here, or Bado did the killing. And people thought, who is this Bado that is going around killing people? This Bado killed over 40 people within this time frame. This is a serial killer. This is serial killing. In all ramifications, this is serial killing. When investigation started and when the people in the community began looking for who this killer was, they discovered that it was not one person, that it was a cult group of over 50 people in it, of over 100 people possibly. And this cult group specialized in the pattern of using either a stone or a mortar pistol. They would not use a gun, they would not use a knife, they would not strangle their victim. Their main pattern, like most serial killers who have their signature way of killing their victims, the Bado serial killers used mortar pistol or grounding stone. And that is a unique pattern in itself. And because of that method alone, they should be termed serial killer. But the problem is, it's occultic. It's not one person. It's over 100 people who were involved in this killing spree. And so far, only 47 to 50 of their victims were accounted for. But somehow, the names of these people in this cult group would not make the list of serial killers. But they should be. But they would not, given the nature of their killing. Because the Bado killing is also ritualistic. Investigation found out that they killed their victims, used handkerchief, wipe off the blood of their victims. Some would scoop the blood of their victims and take it to their shrines. Now, this is no longer serial killing. This is now ritual killing. And that is why most of these serial killers end up being on a different list other than the list of serial killers. Same with Levi Obieze, the Eziani of Enugu State, a native doctor whose foundations were found with the body of a pregnant woman, a student, and was about to kill a little girl when he was caught and arrested. But given the nature of the killings, you can't call him a serial killer, although he should be. Him and his code should be serial killers, but they fall under the category of ritual killing. So, you see, when you're wondering why we don't have enough serial killers in Nigeria, it's because you're looking at the wrong direction. If you want to find the serial killers in Nigeria, you gotta look at the ritualists, at the body part dealers. That is where you'll find a lot of serial killers. And when you compile the list, you best believe that we most likely would have the most number of serial killers in the world if that list is counted and acknowledged to be a list of serial killers as well. But now, aside the misclassification of serial killers in Nigeria, some other factors play a role as to why there is not enough serial killers in Nigeria. It's simply the factor of luck, which is due to the factor of police laziness or just unwillingness to push further in a case that they are investigating. It could also be economic limitations too, maybe because we don't have the finances to go deeper beyond the surface. For example, let's take the case of Ayomide Adele, the 23-year-old student who was arrested in September of 2024 for the killing of Christiana Idowu. His name may not pop up when you search for the list of serial killers in Nigeria, but by every given right, he is a serial killer. But he got lucky due to the fact that the police seemed to only be trying him for the case of Christiana Idowu alone. Whereas when the news came out that he was the one behind the killing of Christiana Idowu, people started attributing him to the killing of 4 to 5 other victims in the past. His ex-girlfriend, his sister, and one church member who also was his friend on Facebook and had gone missing a year or two prior to Christiana Idowu. Even when the girl went missing, the family of the girl suspected this young man, but there was not enough evidence or proof to pin it to him. But when it came out that this boy was who killed Christiana Idowu and had buried her in a shallow grave in his compound, it seemed as though this was a cue for the police to start looking at all the cases and accusations that this boy would have most likely been involved with. But so far as we know, he's only being charged with the killing of Christiana Idowu. And because of that, he would not be classified as a serial killer because he only has one killing to his name, despite the fact that we know that there is a high chance that he most likely killed the other victims he's being accused of. Naturally, in the Western world, the police would go deeper. The police would start searching all the people around him who had gone missing. The police would start searching all the people around him who have accused him of killing somebody. The police would start looking into his matters as far back as many years ago. But over here, the Nigerian police seem to just stay on the surface. They will arrest somebody who has killed somebody and they will leave it at that arrest. For them to have to bring something that the person did 10, 5, 8 years past, it's going to take a lot. It's going to cost a lot. Bodies would have to be exhumed. Forensics would have to do their job, and we don't have that resources. And also, I don't think the police have that time or patience. So what they usually do is bank on the hope that with this crime that they've caught this particular criminal, he will go down for it, and maybe that serves as a way to suffer for all the other crimes that he may or may not have committed. But that doesn't change anything, because it now makes this person an ordinary killer and an ordinary murderer, whereas the person should be a serial killer. But you see, he got lucky. He's just a murderer. He's just the guy who killed Christiana Idowu, and that's all. Finally, there is one more reason why it seems as though Nigeria don't have many serial killers. And this particular one, I will give kudos to the Nigerian police. And I think they are the reason why we don't get to see a lot of serial killers, because the Nigerian police are very good at one thing. I don't know if it's luck on their part, but they seem to catch certain serial killers in the making. Like most times, some of the people they will catch and arrest give serial killer vibe. Almost as though if they were never caught in time, they would have gone on to kill enough people to earn the title of serial killers. Like the case of Jamiu Malomo, an 18-year-old ex-convict, by the way, who came out of prison in 2018. Only a few months later, he went to a prostitution house, picked up a prostitute, picked up a sex worker, took her home. After they agreed 10,000 naira, they went home. After he was done doing his deed, it was time to pay, and he brought out a knife, killed her, and threw her body away. This is a serial killer move. This is basically what David Gracious West was doing. And it would interest you to know, when police started investigating the death of that woman, they traced it to him, and guess where they caught him? At that same prostitution house, trying to pick up another prostitute. And let's assume he wasn't caught in that moment and he successfully took the second prostitute home. You know that would have been another case of somebody getting killed again. The second prostitute he was bringing home, what are the chances that he would not have killed that prostitute the same way he killed the first one? But the police caught him in time and arrested him for the killing of the previous victim. And just last year, in January, he was sentenced to death. You see, if he had gotten away with that first victim, he would have gone on to kill many more victims, and he would have stayed long enough to earn the term serial killer. But that was not the case. Thanks to the early intervention, this is why it's important for police to catch killers and criminals. When somebody is murdered, catch them quick. Catch them fast enough. That was the issue with the Port Harcourt serial killer, David Gracious West. They did not catch him on time, and that was why he continued killing more people. Even when the story was on the news, even when people in Port Harcourt, when it was everywhere that girls are being killed, serial killer is out there, this man, David Gracious West, still continued picking up girls, taking them to hotel, and kept on killing. Most normal people would sit it out and wait and give it time. But this man was such a serial killer that he could not hold it. He could not hold the urge to kill, that he kept on killing despite the fact that it was everywhere on the news. And Jamiu Malomo was on his way there, but after his first killing, as far as we know, he got caught and there was no time for him to kill again. Glory be to God. Another example would be Timileyin Ajayi, the young man who made headlines for killing Salome and beheading her, talking about the girlfriend and the cheating. And we went through that story. As far as we know, that would have been his first killing, even though most people had a different theory. But here is the thing, if he hadn't been caught, arrested, there's a chance he would have gone on to do it again. The same with Abdul Rahman Bello. If he hadn't been caught, he would have most likely gone on to do it again. Even though for Abdul Rahman Bello, I feel like he has most likely done it before, given how he did it this one time. But let's assume he hadn't done it before. What are the chances that he would not have done it again? He most likely would. And that is another reason why we don't seem to have many serial killers in Nigeria, because sometimes the Nigerian police catch them early enough and arrest them and charge them to court right before they start killing more people. So there you have it. If you ever wonder why we don't have serial killers, I'm sure this video should explain a lot. We do have serial killers. They are just not on the list of serial killers. There are not plenty there. You most likely only find David. For what is what, David Gracious West is most likely the only serial killer we have in Nigeria, because his victims were accounted for. His victims were named. His victims had a face, and his victims were identified enough for us to get the full picture of what he was doing. Most serial killers that we would talk about in future videos, so make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Most of their victims were not accounted for. Most of their victims were never named. They were never tried for some of their other victims. Even Gracious West in court was only tried for the killing of 2 or 3 women. He killed over 15 women, but only 2 or 3 women that he was tried for. If somebody read up his court document, like, oh, he only killed 3 people, so he's not a serial killer. No, he killed many more people, but only got sentenced for the killing of 2 or 3 people. Sometimes the only way we get to see certain serial killers reveal themselves is if eventually they tend to confess about other people they've killed. That works. Like the guys who killed a young boy in Lagos, their friend who had come to visit them from primary school, and then they ended up kidnapping him, killing him, and then dumping his body. When they were arrested, they confessed to killing other people that even in turn helped free a man from prison. So that is something we hope to bank on when killers are caught and arrested. But don't put your hopes on. Most killers will not say anything because they are hoping that in court they will get out of that situation they are being tried for. Just a side note, another way serial killers mask their identities is through cult killings, cult-related killings. When cultists are fighting and killing each other, by right, most of this periodic killing by one person can be termed a serial killer, but given that it's cult-related, is being swept into a different category. So yeah, if you don't think we have serial killers in Nigeria, think again, because we certainly do, and they are some of the worst kind of serial killers in the world. Most of these ritualists who kill people, you don't get to see the bodies of their victims. What are you going to bury? Soap? Because half the time they've dismembered their body, private part, organs, all dismembered, sold to different herbalists. And what do the herbalists do with their pound and turn them into soap? So at the end of the catching and exposure and arrest, there is no body to identify, there is no body to pin to them, and there's no way to identify a lot of their victims to be able to get the full picture of how much they are a serial killer. So it's just easy to throw them under the category of serial killers. So thank you guys for watching. In another video, we're going to look into more of specific serial killers that some of you may not have heard of.